Hi everyone, welcome to episode 114 of the XS Noize Podcast. I'm Mark Millar. Thanks for listening. In this episode, I speak to Black Star Riders frontman Ricky Warwick about their new album, Wrong Side of Paradise. If you missed the previous episode, I spoke to alternative indie artist from Northern Ireland, Tom Southern, about his debut album, Plaza.
It was always my dream to make an album and be nominated for just any prize, for an album, not just a single or anything like that. I've always been fascinated by albums and just how conceptual albums were, right back to Pink Floyd, and just how album covers on a vinyl, just the whole thing around let's make an album, not just a load of singles the way people do now, and we'll bunch them together and it's like a strategy, if you know what I mean, rather than an actual conceptual piece of art. There obviously is loads of amazing people making albums the way they used to be today, but it was always my dream to just make an album on my own with nobody involved, and just something super intimate like that. And just the way I'd done the Plaza album in my bedroom, I was quite ambitious with the sort of sounds as well. It isn't just a bedroom pop EP album or anything. It's bigger sounding drums, thought about guitar sounds and music that I've kind of been developing for a few years. It was just nice to sort of box that into a conceptual piece of art, and then people like the NI Music Prize got it, and it was nice.
So check it out, and if you like the podcast, please subscribe for free and share it with your friends. If you want up-to-date music news, album reviews and interviews, then check out our main website at xsnoize.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Search for the tag at XS Noize Music. Here's XS Noize writer Daniel Lynch with a taste of what's been on the website this week.
Billy No Mates kicks off 2023 with the release of her second album, Cacti. Ian Byrne gives it a 4 out of 5 score, saying that the album builds on the post-punk minimalism of the first album, adding some substance and heft to the sound. And with more personal lyrics, there's more rawness than before. Also in the reviews section, Alex Hoggard has been listening to Uncertain Joys, the Subway's 5th album and their first in 8 years. It is everything you'd expect from the band, driving memorable riffs and catchy choruses, a triumphant return for the Subways. There's new music streaming from Lucas Graham, Scaryvore and The Answer. Want You to Love Me is the second single from their new album Sundowners, due out in March. Finally, Lewis Capaldi will play Belfast Vital in September. All the tracks and ticket details are at a newly revamped xsnoize.com.
Black Star Riders celebrate their 10th anniversary this year with the new album Wrong Side of Paradise and a string of UK tour dates. In this interview, Ricky Warwick talks about writing and recording the new album, what fans can expect from the shows, and lots more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the XS Noize Podcast with Ricky Warwick. Hi Ricky, welcome back to the XS Noize Podcast.
Yes, thanks very much for having me back, Mark. Yes.
No, it's great to have you back. Have to start off on a bit of a somber note. We heard last night about the news of the death of guitar legend Jeff Beck. What did Jeff mean to you?
I think going back, I'm a big fan of the Yardbirds, and obviously that's where Jeff really sort of started out. And we're just at a stage, sadly now, where a lot of our rock and rollers are getting old, and they're dying, and that's just a fact of life, and it's very sad, and that's I think why we have to cherish them while they're still here. I mean, Jeff was a trailblazer. Nobody played guitar like Jeff. I think he was very instrumental in actually defining the use of feedback. I think he was a trailblazer in using that, just a great guitar player, a unique guitar player, and a wonderful musician, and one of a kind, and will be sadly missed.
Yeah, and he was still making music, he still kept at it.
Yeah, I was still out there playing. I mean, the stuff he just did with Johnny Depp, I actually really, really liked. I thought what I heard, was really, really good. And, still making music right up to the end. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. So what age were you when you first picked up the guitar?
Seriously, I mean, I had an acoustic guitar, which I kind of dabbled in when I was like 8 or 9, but I just, couldn't get into it. The fingers hurt and didn't want to practice. But seriously, when I was 14 is when I really, really got into it, really for real.
And what were you trying to play? Who were you listening to that was influencing you?
Oh, listen to everything. A lot of punk stuff because it was easy. There wasn't many chords in it, so that was always good. I think one of the first songs I ever learned was Teenage Kicks by the Undertones. And then it'd be something. Then Paranoid by Black Sabbath was another one. Doctor, UFO, Stiff Little Finger songs. I mean, a real mishmash of stuff. As you do when you're a kid. Whatever sort of the guitar riff of the day that you try and learn back then.
What age were you when you started hearing songs and melodies in your head?
Straight away. I mean, I wanted to write straight away, Mark. I was always listening to the song. I was never the guy that would listen to what the guitar player was doing or the drummer, the bass player. To me, it was always all about the song. So as soon as I had 2 or 3 chords learned, I was off writing, and that was it. And it's always been the case for me. Obviously, as I got older, I've appreciated musicianship, and obviously practiced myself, and I got better at playing the guitar. But it was always about the songs for me, right from the get go.
And is the guitar still your go-to instrument for writing songs?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't really play anything else, so that's it.
Well, Black Star Riders you're about to release your 5th album, Wrong Side of Paradise. Now, the last Black Star Riders album was Another State of Grace in 2019, when the world was a whole lot different then. But this album has what fans want and expect: big rock guitars, big hooks. So how does it feel that the album's about to be unleashed in the world?
Oh, it's a sense of relief, because it's almost 3 years since I started writing it. It was, end of 2019, January 2020, when I was doing the demos for it. So here we are 3 years later. That's a long time, and obviously what we've all been through and those intermittent years. It's not been an easy road. There's been a few lineup changes, the pandemic, everything else that's been going on. I started 2023, had some health issues. So to finally get it over the line and see it coming out in all its glory it's a great feeling.
It's a great album. I've really, really been enjoying it. We'll get into some of the songs shortly. But you said a few lineup changes. Scott Gorham is no longer with the Black Star Riders. Mm-hmm. It was announced that he wants to concentrate on Thin Lizzy. So how did it feel when Scott told you he was leaving?
I knew it was coming. Scott's told me he's been leaving it ever since the first album. Scott's like, "Hey, bud, I think this is it for me." And I'm like, "No, it's not. Come on, you love it now." So I knew the day was going to come, because Scott's a bit older than we are, and he doesn't need to get on a tour bus for 6-7 weeks and go around Europe anymore. And I totally respect that. So I'd known for a while before we made it public, that he was going to sort of step aside. But the thing with Black Star Riders, nobody's been through. Everybody's left. The door's open for anybody to come back in anytime they want. And I'm very proud of that fact. And the fact that obviously Scott's joined us for these 10th anniversary shows just shows you that, he'll dip in and out. That door's always open for Scott. And yeah, he wasn't on the record. No problem. But, I think going forwards, I'll never rule out working with Scott because I love him. I'm so close to him. He's such a good mate of mine. And totally respect his reasoning. And he was very, very adamant that the band keep going too. He was very, please don't stop. You got to keep going. So it's all good. But
did it feel weird when you were getting to record the new songs that he wasn't there?
It did. Yeah, absolutely. We'd phone him every day. We're phoning him from the studio going, "Oh, we miss you, man, and listen to this." I mean, it was weird because obviously Scott Gorham, and he's such a identifiable guitar player with his sound and his style. But in a way, it was good because I got to play a ton of guitar, which was nice for me to suddenly be playing, loads and loads of guitar on Black Star Riders albums. Because obviously up until that point, I'd been writing a lot of the guitar parts and writing the songs, but I've been handing over to Scott and Damon or Christian to do all the sort of heavy lifting. So it was nice that I was able to suddenly just step up and start playing a lot of guitar. But I absolutely missed him. Of course you do. And we will. I mean, he's a legend.
He is, absolutely. You're on the new label Earache Records as well.
Yep. I mean, with 9 years of Nuclear Blast, 9 very good years of Nuclear Blast, to be on a record label for that length of time in this day and age is pretty unique, I think. And we've done 4 albums with them. And we just reached a point where they had some personnel changes. Obviously, we had too. And we just felt we'd gone as far as we could. Both sides felt that. They did and we did. And we wanted to shake it up a little bit. And Eric just came in right out the gate. And I've got to say, they've been absolutely amazing since we signed with them. I've never seen so much passion and love and energy put into a record in my 30-odd years of being in the business. And so right now, at this moment in time, the job they're doing is phenomenal. I really can't fault them.
Yeah, well, the album is already number one bestseller spot in the hard rock chart on Amazon.
Yeah,
that's tremendous.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. No, it's good. The pre-orders for the album are fantastic, and they've been working my socks off here, which is great. So, like I said, I love Digby Pearson, that started the label. Basically started it out of his garage in Nottingham back in the days. I think with Napalm Death and Carcass were the first sort of bands he signed. The whole grindcore thing, and he's just built it into this great label. But he still has that punk rock DIY ethos that I really, really love about it. And it's just obviously that anybody that works there, the music comes first. And I just love that. I just think it's great,
Yeah, and so it should.
Yeah, that's the way it should. Yeah.
Before we get into some of the songs, I have to mention the album cover. The album cover is really, really good. It's really interesting. It's sort of iconic already. It's just like, I believe an album sleeve should be just as important as the music. So whose idea was it behind that?
It was a guy called Paul Tippett, who we've actually worked on pretty much all of our albums. Even though he didn't design the cover of Another State of Grace, he sort of put the concept of it together. But he was very instrumental in all the other 3 records prior to that. And we thought about having a picture of the band on the cover, because we haven't done that yet. But then obviously Christian had to depart, so we couldn't really do that. So we went to Paul, and I said, look, I sent him the lyrics of Wrong Side of Paradise, and I explained to him what the song was about. And he just came back with the iconic image, and I just went, that's it, you've nailed it. The job done. So yeah,
it's brilliant. Let's talk about some of the songs. In August, you released "Better Than Saturday Night" with backing vocals from your friend Def Leppard's Joe Elliott. I read that you wrote it for your kids and wanted to reflect in positivity, power, attitude, and strength. Do you think you would have written that song pre-pandemic?
Probably not. I don't think so. It was one of the last songs that I wrote for the album as well. There's 2 songs that I wrote at the 11th hour, and that was Better Than Saturday Night and This Life Will Be the Death of Me. And I literally wrote them the week before we went into the studio to start recording. I was listening back to all the demos that we'd done, and I just felt we were a couple of songs short, and I had the ideas kicking around, and I did a demo on my garage band of them and sent them to the guys, and they loved it, and the producer Jay Ruston loved them, so we cut them, obviously. But I think what happened during the pandemic and watching my kids dealing with it and dealing with everything going on really inspired it lyrically. And it was just a wee phrase I used to say to my daughter. It's one of those things where you just go, is it good? Is it how you feel? Is it going to be better than Saturday night? It's a wee laugh we just have. So I thought there's a song in there somewhere, and that was it.
It's a great song, and it's great to have Joe Elliott from Def Leppard on there. Do you just give him a ring?
Just give him a ring. Joe can never do enough for me, which is wonderful. Joe's been a great mate for over the years. Yeah, in so many ways. He's a great sounding board for me, because you're never, like I always say, it's hard to argue with a guy that sold 100 million albums, and I'll be sending him stuff and ideas, and he's always, Joe's very honest. He always go, look, I think you can do better there in that chorus, or so I always like to take that on board, and he's very good that way. And I know that anytime I call him up and would you like to sing on a track, he's like, absolutely. And it's one of those things where, as well, it's like, not a lot of people, it's not like I have to remind him. Like, it'll be done the next day, and I'll have it sent to me the following day. I mean, he's just brilliant.
My favorite track on the album is "Riding Out the Storm." I love the lyric. I love the chorus.
Thank you.
What can you tell me about that song?
Wrote it at this very table I'm sitting here talking to you on. At this very spot. I thrive on chaos when I'm writing. Like, I'm not one of these people, I've tried it, that I need to go off to somewhere in the mountains or the desert. I do that sometimes, but I usually end up writing nothing. I usually get bored. I like being in the house with the kids running around and stuff going on, and I just sort of sit there with the guitar. And that's what I did with Riding Out the Storm. And I lost again, I had the chord structure. I was just playing around with it, and then the words just started coming. And I lost sort of both my parents in the last 5 years, and I've lost, obviously, with the pandemic and just other stuff. I've actually lost a lot of friends, sadly, who died way too young in the last sort of couple of years. And getting older, I'm starting to question my own sort of mortality and how I feel about that. And, you know, when the road behind you is longer than the road ahead, you start sort of asking yourself some questions. And that was really the essence of the meaning behind the song. And I'm glad you picked up that, because I think it's a little bit different for Black Star Riders. It's not a very typical Black Star Rider song. And I like that about it. And I wasn't even sure if I was going to play it for the guys, to be honest with you. I thought maybe this is one for the Ricky Warwick album, you know, I'll keep it to myself. And I played it to Robbie Crane, and he's like, no, we have to do that. We've got to do that. So, you know, and I'm pleased he liked it, because that's how we end up recording it.
It's a very accessible song.
Yeah,
you know, it just jumps out of the speakers.
Yeah, thank you. It's very accessible, but with a lot of meaning behind it. And they're always the trickiest ones to write, but when you do, the sense of sort of satisfaction you get from them is really good, you know.
And talking about doing something that's not normally like Black Star Riders, you covered the Osmonds classic Crazy Horses on this. Now, I never really properly looked at the track list before I played the album, and then just listening away, and then this popped out, and I was like, I just didn't expect it, but it was great.
Right.
You know, it's an amazing version. It's a complete left turn. It was left turn for them.
Yeah.
But it really suits Black Star Riders.
Right, thank you. Yeah, Mark, we're just same thing. We just all love the song, and we're just goofing about with it, and we're like, oh, we should do this. You know, we've never done a cover version in Black Star Riders, and we thought, well, this is one that nobody's going to expect us to do, so let's do it. Christian does a great job. We do the dual vocals, but Christian does a great job on the dual vocals on that as well. And we've already played it live. We played it live at Planet Rockstock in December there, and it went down a storm. And it's just a good, fun rock and roll song. You know, really good and great lyrics. I mean, a lot of people don't realize they're way ahead of the curve. The Osmonds, lyrically, it's about polluting the planet. Mm-hmm. You know, what we're doing to the whole thing. So, you know, 40 years ago, there you go. You know, Donnie and the boys are on the mark. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think they ever did anything that they've ever sounded anything like that again as well. So it's great that you bring it back. You know, I really enjoyed it. I love the lyric in Pay Dirt. My heart belongs to Belfast. My soul belongs to Glasgow. Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty much sums it up, really, doesn't it? You know, that's pretty much autobiographical right there. From you know, and that's it. You know, I grew up in both the Greater Belfast and the Greater Glasgow area, and both mean the world to me, and both have a huge influence on my own identity. And so that, yeah, I was pleased when I wrote that. I was like, yeah, that sort of says it all.
And then there's Green and Troubled Land.
Yeah, which I wrote with my good friend Sam Robinson, who I've obviously worked with a lot on my solo stuff. And we were talking about the old Irish chieftains and the kingdoms like Dalriada, and, you know, the whole, northwest of Northern Ireland being connected, northeast of Northern Ireland being connected with the southwest of Scotland and the whole Ulster Scots thing. And we're just talking about the whole tribal conflict and really how that, even though things are much, much better today, you know, there's still the underlying presence of people that want to drag us backwards instead of propelling us forwards, and sort of taking that on board about how great Northern Ireland is and how wonderful everything is and how much it's better. There's still little pockets, for want of a better term, idiots that think, you know, violence and intimidation and hatred and fear is the way forwards. So that's really what we touched on in the lyric. And, you know, I'm not going to, you know, I'm a huge Big Country fan, and I ripped the riff off Big Country. I'm not going to say it. It's okay, because I know Bruce from Big Country quite well, so I think I'll be all right. I don't think he's going to sue me. But listen, Horselips and Big Country have always been a huge influence on me, the whole Celtic rock thing. So again, and that guitar riff again, I've had that riff for maybe 10 years, and tried to write various sort of songs around it, and nothing clicked. I mean, there's various demos of that in over the years in different guises, but it wasn't until I sat down with Sam that we nailed it. So big kudos to Sam for coming up with such a great lyric, and then suddenly it just, as soon as I had that lyric, the melody and everything it all fell into place, and it turned out great.
Yeah, it's a great song. And I just remembered, since you mentioned Ulster Scots, that documentary you did, really enjoyed that. I learned quite a lot from that.
I did too. I mean, I really learned from it as well. It's because it's something I'm quite interested in. I was quite well read up on it, but even doing that and just going to those places and meeting the people that we did was a great education. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, we could have done a 4-hour show, the amount of stuff that we filmed and stuff that we met. But it was just a great experience. It really was.
Is that something you would like to do more of again? Make documentaries?
It is, yeah. I think it is. There's been a couple of things that have been put my way. There was one other thing I was going to do for the BBC. It's similar-ish, and sadly the pandemic kind of put paid to that. But I can enjoy doing that, because I have a passion for it. So I wouldn't rule out something. We're talking about a couple of things coming down the line. So hopefully we'll see if they come to fruition.
So what song on the album do you feel most connected to? What means the most to you?
Oh man, probably This Life Will Be the Death of Me. I think that's maybe the last one on there. It's a very personal one. I like it again because it's got a real sort of Motown-y soul feel to it. And again, one of the last ones I wrote, that was that in Better Than Saturday Night. And I'm just very pleased with how that turned out. And, lyrically as well as musically. So
Black Star Riders begin a UK tour in February this year with a special 10th anniversary run of dates, which will see the band welcome back, Scott, as you mentioned. What can fans expect from the anniversary shows?
Everything. Obviously there'll be a few tracks from the new record, but there's going to be a lot of old stuff as well. Get to see Scott get back up on stage, which is always worth the admission price alone, in my opinion. And, it'll be a full-on show, spanning the 5 albums and 10 years of the band. We already played at Planet Rockstock. The show was incredible. Sam Woods joined us. Sam's a great addition to the band on guitar. What he's brought to the band is phenomenal. So you're in for a hell of a night, And
it kicks off on Saturday, the 11th of February in Belfast.
First show in good old Belfast, yeah. Starting home turf, which is great. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be some gig. But before that, you're doing a series of solos in stores starting this month. So do you enjoy doing those?
I do, very much so. Number one, I'm a record collector. And number two, I love record shops. And, most importantly, it's a great way to meet everybody and just hang out and talk to people and get a vibe. And I get to play some of the songs off the album stripped down as well. So, I mean, there's a lot to like about it. Yeah.
There's no Belfast in store, is there?
There's not, no, just schedule wise. I mean, we might still be working on it, but just scheduling wise and everything, it was just trying to make it all work and stuff like that, So that's really all it's down to, I mean, I don't know if they're maybe trying to organize one the day of the show. I'm not sure. We'll have to see,
No, I was looking down the list, and I had to look down a couple of times. I thought there's bound to be a Belfast one because you did one last night for your solo album, HMV.
That's right. Yeah. No, just down to scheduling and and stuff like that, and at some point, being 56 years old, you have to go. I need a couple of days here just to rest the voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you live in LA, Ricky, but you come home frequently. What's the first thing you look forward to do when you come back to Belfast?
I just seeing, obviously, the obvious thing is seeing family straight away. Just seeing family and friends and just catching up. And what I love about it is you just pick up where you left off. There's no, airs or graces. It's just boom, you're back home and that's it, And I think just seeing where I grew up and going back out that direction and staying there and going to old haunts and things like that,
And it's probably changed every time you come back. There's new things there, new buildings.
Yeah, it has. A lot of it's changed. A lot of it stayed the same. So you're getting the best of both worlds, really. But it's always the same feeling. The feeling's always the same, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, it's always good to come back home.
Absolutely.
If you were to recommend one of Black Star Riders' albums to anyone who had never heard the band before, now not including a new one, what album would you tell them to start with?
I'd probably start with the first one. Start at the beginning and just work your way through chronologically, and you can see how the band's evolved over the 10 years, because I think that's what's happened. And I think that's, case in point is every album's a progression of the band evolving.
What's your favourite deep cut from one of the albums?
Wow. Good question. I really like Charlie, I Gotta Go. I really like that song. Just the groove of it, the lyric and everything. So I'll probably have to go with that one.
Looking back over the past 10 years in the band, from your debut album, All Hell Break Loose, to The Wrong Side of Paradise, what's been your highlights?
To still be making the music, still be continuing. This is our 5th record. I mean, that's, a victory in itself, that we've been able to keep going for as long as we have, and still making music that's relevant. I mean, and some of the shows, the touring's been great. Getting to play all over the world with Black Star Riders has been amazing. And just the fact that, we weren't sure when we did the first record that how it was going to go. We weren't sure if we were going to get past the first record, to be honest with you. So I think the fact that here we are 10 years later, still talking about it, that's it right there.
I like to ask my guests the following questions. If you could go back and relive one musical moment from your career, what would it be?
It's got to be Donington with the Almighty. I think that was the Holy Grail. When I was a kid, and the fact that it went so well for us and such an experience, it was an amazing day. For so many reasons.
For us music fans, music is the soundtrack to your memories. What song or album, when you listen to it, brings back the best memories for you?
Oh, there's too many. There's so many. I mean, anytime I listen to something, it evokes a feeling or a memory. I mean, I can't just say there's one album. There's certain albums that will remind me of home. There's certain albums that will remind me of people. I mean, it's just anytime I put something on or listen to something, it evokes some kind of feeling or memory.
That's the magic of music. That's why we love it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. That's it.
So that's me done, Ricky. Is there anything you would like to mention before we wrap up?
No,
anything
that's
else
great,
coming
Mark. Thank you. Just I'm looking forward to getting back to Belfast. Obviously, can't wait to play the Limelight. And again, thank you to everybody that's bought or is about to buy the album or about to come to the show. I mean, at the end of the day, wouldn't be sitting here talking if it wasn't for you people.
Yeah. No, I've really, really been enjoying it. So I wish you all the best
Thank
with
you.
it. And hopefully I'll get to see you in the Limelight.
Sounds good, Mark. Take care of yourself, mate.
All right, mate. Take it easy.
We'll see you soon. All the best. Bye-bye.
Right, okay. Bye-bye.